a comparison based on realities on ground that during their time, he sacked a military administrator for misappropriating 313,000 naira. But at these days, corruption is in the realm of billions and billions of naira. And if you draw that comparison, you see that corruption during his time was more or less like a child's play. So that was why he made that reference.
But really, can a democratically elected government jail people like what was, happening under your principal's government? I mean, this is a democracy, and then we have to follow due process. Again, that was done under military administration.
Well, when you talk about jailing people, I'm sure you are aware of what is happening in Nigeria today. I'm sure you know so many Nigerians are, cooling off in prison, in different jail homes, just because they try to express their views.
Did those people have their day in court or not?
You say what?
Did those people that you're referring to have their day in court or not?
They have what? I can't get you.
Now you're saying that that you know the realities on ground and that there are people
in jail for corruption. There are people who are undergoing trial. There are people who even have EFCC cases who were appointed into this government, whose cases were not conclusive before they were appointed. So you cannot say you have fighting corruption on the one hand and on the other hand.
Interesting set of statements for him. But let's start with the June 12 issue. He explained during that interview that if he had not done what he did, then there would have been a bloody coup. But why do you choose to say that he was afraid that he would be succeeded by a Yoruba person? I mean, they allowed the election to take place, even though the annulment was for security reasons, according to him.
Mary, first of all, they allowed the election to take place, but they never expected Abiola to win. They assumed that the Northerner would win because they apparently have the numbers. But what they didn't understand is that when a leader sells a vision to his people, what happens is the vision is what the people believe in. The other candidate did not really have anything to say. Matter of fact, in that election, if you notice, there was actually a debate. In that debate, my father floored his opponent hands down. It was seen across Nigeria. People saw what they were going to gain from Abiola. And when he talks about a coup, a bloodless coup or a violent coup, my father was adamant on not being violent. My father was the one who secured the nation from having blood all over the country. My father, even when he was being led to prison, God knows where they took him to, Gulag or wherever, Guagalada or wherever they took him to, he made it clear that he didn't want any of his supporters to be violent. That was why there was no blood and there was no bloodshed, even after the fact that they had deprived the Nigerian people of their own mandates. My father said, look, I am the leader, I can sacrifice my life, but Nigerians' lives should not be sacrificed on the altar of my position. He was ready to lay his life down, and that's what leadership is about. So when I hear, His Excellency, or if you want to call him the dictator, talk about being a Maradona, I will tell you for a fact that this person that we're looking at lacks the fortitude of being a leader. You see, when you have a leader, you don't go around calling your subjects they. You say we, because as a leader, you don't do it all by yourself. The people will do the vision you sell to them. The people are the one that will actualize it. So you don't go around saying they are this, they are that. When you talk like this, I think he believes this maybe the son of the queen or something, because he sounds like Lord Lugard talking about his subjects. We are Nigerian, he's a Nigerian, I think he's a Nigerian, but from what I heard and the way he's talking to Nigerians, I believe he's saying they, and once you say they, then you moved yourself from the equation, so maybe he's not part of the country. So that was where I got it. That was one of the reasons why that's why I said, he might, I think because of maybe with the age, sometimes after you have been lying to yourself for so long, the lie becomes the truth. Now, the reason there was no bloodshed was because my father was adamant on this. If it was any other African leader, they would have he had support, he could have told his members to make the life ungovernable. My father was adamant on not doing that. Matter of fact, he made clear to everybody that, look, they carry me to jail, don't be violent. We will get peace, but we don't want peace of the graveyard. My father made it clear that he was ready to lay down his life for the future of the nation and not for just because my father already had everything. He had everything he needed in life. They had assumed that if they had even put him in jail, they can go and meet him and say, "Oh, Oga, come, take your money back, go to your palace." My father refused. You see, they didn't believe that was possible. They didn't believe that there would be a man like Abiola, who was obviously the richest in Africa, who was ready to lay down his life for the betterment of the Nigerian people. And that is exactly why 28 years later, we're still talking about Abiola. And that is exactly why this June 12th that he annulled will continue to haunt him for the rest of his life.
Back to you, Mr. Fabua. I know that you want to respond, but this interview, a lot of people have, also said that, or asked why IBB is now, sitting down to talk about the June 12th situation. Is he trying to make things right? Has he realized that
power game? There is often, scenarios that may appear invisible to you, but when they play out, then you begin to see the reality on ground. You see, Abdul-Mumini may not know the internal dynamics of what factorized the June 12th struggle. Even the annulment of the election itself, to me, was a coup within a coup. And so, voicing out his sentiments, understandably so, it's painful that his father died in the process. That is painful. But again, I think he is largely ignorant of the factors and the issues that dominate the June 12th discourse. And so, to that extent, the IBB was in precedent. He knew exactly what security reports he got. He knew exactly what information was at his disposal. And so, if he says that he was sure that there would be coup within 3 months, that will be bloody, he must be saying that from the point of view of information that were available to him at that point, and not on the basis of sentiment. That's one. Secondly, I think Abdul-Mumini need to understand that General IBB played a very formidable role in the aspiration of MKO Abiola. He may not also understand that IBB actually was the one who prevailed on Abiola to contest that election. And if he wants to get more information about that, he should wait. I'm writing a book on that, and I will give him instances where that took place. But the senior Abiola sons understand the dynamics and what went on. They won't come on television to be voicing this kind of sentiments, because those who are familiar with the internal dynamics of that June 12th struggle will know the role that IBB as an individual played, aside from being the head of state at that time. So I can excuse Abdul-Mumini for that, which, like I said, his father is painful, but once you are ready to come out to contest election or to struggle for power, you must be ready to also die for the country. Because in power game or in power struggle all over the world, we want leaders who are ready to sacrifice for the common good of all.
Mr. Fabua, can I come in there, because you have said a lot of things that have raised questions in my mind. First things first, you are saying that Abdul-Mumini is too young to understand the inner workings of the military administration under General IBB, and you're also now saying that if anyone wants to run for an office or you want to lead the country, especially under a military rule, you should be ready to die. So you're telling me, in other words, that maybe your principal knew that for power to hand over to civilians while there was a military administrator or administrator in power, somebody had to be killed, or blood had to be spilled. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No. I think
explain.
you need to be in the game of power for you to know how power resonates. If you follow the quote that power is a crazy aphrodisiac, it makes men blind to their intentions, and it confuses the one who wields power. So there are scenarios.
So, but in Nigeria, you should be ready to die because you want power. Is that what you're telling me?
Listen to me. As an individual, I have my own orientation. I have my principles. But like I often said, we want leaders who are ready to sacrifice for the good of the country, not necessarily dying. But if in the process of the struggle death comes on, well, good and fine. But their place in history will forever remain sacrosanct. It will forever remain remarkable. What I'm saying in essence is that the June 12th struggle, the June 12th annulment was a coup within a coup. And don't forget that even after IDB left, of course, Chief M. Abiola and late Abacha got together, and they were trying to form a government. And whether you like it or not, M. Abiola nominated those persons who participated in the government of Abacha, the likes of Onaguruwa, Ebenezer Babatokwa, and all of that. They were all nominees of MKO. So what I'm saying in essence is that power game has its own addictive properties, and it is only when you are involved that you get to understand the dynamics. We are practicing a democracy now, whether you like it or not. There are a lot of unsatisfactory realities. People still want to,
I think we will come to the democratic part of this conversation. I'll just put a pin there. I would come back to the issue of democracy because I want to, push back on some things. But let me go back to Abdulmumuni. Would you care to respond? Because he's really saying that you have no understanding of the intricacies of power play, especially within this country and under a military administration. And you might be too young to understand the things that happened and all the water under the bridge. He's also said that your elder brother does understand it, and that's why he's a lot more silent. And why are you speaking?
First of all, let me say this. You want to say whatever you want to say. I was in Nigeria in 1993. I was there when my father decided that he wanted to run. I was also there when my mother was shot in the head. Now, what is exactly do I not understand? I want to understand. After 30 years of this democracy, we're in a worse position than we were in when we started. What is he saying? Talking about power makes you drunk or makes you completely inept. Doesn't make any sense. I don't understand where he's coming from. Do you like what is happening in Nigeria today, Mr. Kazim? Are you pleased? Do your kids go to school in Nigeria? Do you send them to hospitals in Nigeria? What exactly are you on about? What I'm saying to you right now is, fine. What has happened is happened. It's water under the bridge. I'm already 30 years old now. I'm 37 years old. I'm an adult. I have kids. I am saying that the nation cannot continue to listen to old garbage, especially when we're moving forward. My issue here is very simple. I might not understand the intricacies, but it's very simple. You started a process. Be a man and follow through. You said the man convinced my father to run. This was not the first time my father tried to run. He tried to run in 1983. They said something funny like the ticket is not for sale. What these people don't understand is that they thought my father was all about money. It was never. Money was the least of my father's ambitions. My father was poor when he was born. He understood the factors at hand. And he said, Nigerians will solve Nigerians' problems. What I'll tell you for a fact is they never believed Abiola will win. They said he's from the West, Yoruba. He will never win against a Northerner. My father showed them that it wasn't true. They thought, it's a Muslim ticket. He will never walk. My father debunked that rumor. Every step of the way, they tried to truncate his progress, but he showed them that you people don't even understand the concept of democracy itself. Look, I'm not arguing with this man. The man is old, and the funny thing about it is that this man that we're talking about, when I was born in 1984, if this man is actually his spokesman, he should know this. He came to my father's house in 1984, and it was a big party. Apparently, he's supposed to be my godfather. So for me to even be talking like this, I'm just saying to myself that, look, when we have a situation like this, I am not talking for me alone. I'm talking for 211 million Nigerians right now. We cannot continue to be listening to people who are just trying to rewrite history just to protect their own image. Look, if this man really thinks he's very popular and people love him, leave your protection in your house, walk down the hilltop, and see what happens. It's very simple. He can prove to us that he's a man of the people and just walk freely. I am telling you for a fact, see, I am not pleased at what is happening in Nigeria today. I go back to Nigeria in 2007, and everything, all I am is a progressive. I am continuing in my father's footsteps, not because I want to be a billionaire or I want to have a house on the hilltop. No, because I understand that Nigeria belongs to me. I don't have any other country, for God's sake. So where I'm coming from right now is very simple. Mr. Kazim, with all due respect, when your book comes out, I will not buy it, so you have to give it to me for free. Because my money is not to be, I'm not going to give you my money so that you can, continue, buying new cars and all this stuff. What I'm suggesting to you is, please tell your principal to please leave the nation alone. Come 2023, the youth will decide where we're going to go.
But he did have a lot to say, but he did have very interesting things to say, even though a lot of people have kicked against it. But he did say that Nigeria needs someone who is progressive, and you are saying that you are progressive. He talked about the kind of leaders that we need in Nigeria today. He obviously lampooned Mr. President's government and said several other things, but he also emphasized on the fact that we need to unify as a country, as opposed to the different ethnic sentiments that we're experiencing and the people who are asking for secession. He was trying to be a unifier of sorts. He didn't really say he wanted in, because I remember, I think sometime in 2012, he did say that he had resigned from active partisan politics. So I don't think he's really interested. He was...
First of all, where I'm going with this is, we don't need anybody to tell us what to do. You see, leadership and leaders don't go around telling their followerships, go left, go right. It's like a military man giving decrees. Who are you decreeing to? Look, first of all, a true leader...
Really, we do not want people telling us what to do, really? Why are we not doing these things if we know how to do it? Why are we still running after the same kinds of people, taking monies from them and killing people, snatching ballot boxes? Why are we not doing the right things if we know how to do them? And
first of all, I'll tell you it's systematic. What has been done to the Nigerian people is systematic. What I'm suggesting about leadership is, a good leader will give you the necessary information to make an informed decision. It's very simple. My father said it. Don't give me fish. Teach me how to fish. The knowledge is key here. We need to understand the knowledge is key. So what I'm proposing is, in this time, we're in 2021 and we'll come 2023. What I'm working on right now is giving people the necessary knowledge. You need to know the issues, so that way you are informed. I'm not going to tell my Nigerian people to go and vote left or right, or vote for Igbo or Yoruba, because it doesn't matter. As long as you're a Nigerian, you should be able to fight or strive for any position you want in the country. But the issue here is, we should be encouraging education, knowledge. That is how people would move out of this little box. What has happened in Nigeria is, think about it now. Since 1999, the education level in Nigeria before 1999 was something that people were proud of. They said that the secondary school education level was the best in the world. Our students in Nigeria go to other countries and they're excelling. Why is it different in Nigeria? Because it's systematic. They did this on purpose. They wanted to keep people subjugated so that way they can easily control them. You see, look, it's not hard now. Look, the message I'm getting at now is, leaders don't sit in their lofty palaces and then they start dictating to the masses. My father was very adamant on this thing. Now, look, what we need to do is address the issue at the source. And by doing that, we need to educate more people.
All right.
The Nigeria they grew up in is not the same Nigeria we grew up in. And when he talks about corruption, let him not tell me about corruption. Corruption is corruption, no matter when it is. When in his own time, it was $1 to $1. Now it's $1 to 500 naira. So we learn from you. Don't tell me that in your own time it was easier or it was better. Corruption is corruption.
Let me go back to Mr. Afewa, because you were talking about democracy, and a lot of Nigerians who have also pushed back on your principal's interview have said that what does a dictator or someone who was under a military rule have to or know about, a democracy? He has not necessarily participated actively, and I do not say that, I say that loosely, by the way, in, the democratic dispensation in Nigeria. But I remember that a couple of people have asked several questions that have not been answered, and I really wish there was a fly on the wall, you know, in that room, or I was, you know, asking the questions. There are unanswered questions under former General IBB's government in terms of the deaths of Dele Giwa. Why wasn't it investigated? I mean, I know that you're going to also come up with a very smart answer. But if you must point fingers today and try to see if you can give us some words of wisdom like your principal was trying to give us, the question is, why didn't you do these things when you were in power, when you had all the power to change the fortunes of Nigeria? Why wait now? Why wait till 2021 to start spitting those gems? Again, there are also those who say that your government was not necessarily media friendly. So there are a lot of issues here. But I want to start with the issue of Dele Giwa. Why wasn't that issue followed
please
through?
allow me to respond to a few, submissions of Abdul Mumini. You don't just ask
and
questions.
Please make sure you answer mine too.
By not allowing me to follow up. Please wait. First of all, IBB as a Nigerian and a former military president has the right to own an opinion. He is protected by the 1999 Constitution as a fundamental human right of freedom to speak on issues. And whether Abdul Mumini likes it or not, he has a better knowledge, better understanding of the intricate logic of the Nigerian Federation, if there's anything called a federation in this country. So my point is, you don't say what has a man got to offer. IBB spoke to Arise Television. Eight newspapers carried it front page on Saturday. That means his views and opinions are largely sought by people who want to understand his own feeling about happenings in the country. That's one. Secondly,
who are these people, and what poll says that there are people who wants to hear the opinion of the late general and how he feels about the state of the nation?
Allow me to speak. If you want to be the one speaking, then I'll keep quiet.
No, I'm just curious.
You invited me to speak. Allow me to speak.
I'm curious. Just help me understand.
I'm responding to the points he raised. So the point is, IBB will be 80 next week, Tuesday. So he's telling us that Nigerians, as a Nigerian, he has a right to say, this is the kind of person I want to see as a Nigerian vying for presidency. Abdul Mumini should be telling me what is his own contribution to the evolutionary process of leadership in the country. What is he contributing? What is he bringing to the table? You talk about, it's not all about June 12th. In that Lagos where you reside, remove third mainland bridge from that place, and Lagos will be chaotic. Somebody did that with our money, with our resources, but there are people who are not doing that. There's somebody who ran the government for 8 years and didn't construct 1 kilometer of road in Lagos State. There are a lot of achievements that IBB put forward when he was president. So June 12th is just a scar. But it will not dictate all the gains that he recorded. You were talking about the media that was not media friendly. He liberalized the media even as a military government. AIT channels all got their licenses as private media platforms. So the banking sector was liberalized, and all the new big guys you are seeing today, Zenith Bank, Access Bank, all of this, Diamond Bank took off from during IBB. So if you want me to mention so many, I will mention, but time will not permit.
Time will not permit me, but I want to rephrase one of my questions just quickly.
As a Nigerian, he has the right to own an opinion, and you cannot take away that right.
Definitely.
Inalienable right that is guaranteed under the Nigerian Constitution.
Definitely, everybody has a right to expression. But my question again, the issue of Dele Giwa, we all know the story. He was killed by a letter bomb. The government tried to absolve it.
There were submissions, there were conclusions. Are you aware that...
but it was the duty of the government to fish out the killer. Who is the killer?
Are you aware that there was a legal disputation about the issue of Dele Giwa?
Well, I'm still asking the same question. I am aware of all of these things, but where is the killer? There should have been a point at which, with all of the things that happened, with all of the sessions and all of the cases, the investigations, the hearings, why couldn't the government as powerful as that of General Ibrahim Babangida not able to fish out the killer of Dele Giwa?
How many killers, as powerful as America is, were they able to find out who killed Meriwether Lewis in the Jefferson days? As powerful as it is, are there no legions of unresolved murders?
So you're making an excuse that a government who is today telling us how we should run our democratic system today is unable to fish out a killer of a journalist, one of Nigeria's finest journalists. You're making an excuse.
This question is too pedestrian, my dear sister.
As pedestrian as it is, please help me understand why you are brushing off the issue of Nigeria being unable to fish out a killer for a government that wasn't just civilian, it was a military government. So we had all of the powers to do that. And you're comparing it to America. America is hundreds of years ahead of us, so of course. Go ahead, let's continue the comparison. As much as you say this is a pedestrian question, I would like a pedestrian answer if you don't mind. Well, unfortunately, I think we can't hear Mr. Afegwa again. So I'll come back to you, Mumuni. I saw you raising your hand.
Yeah, like, you see, this is all semantics. And I'm telling you, you can't start, mixing apples. See, the bottom line is what was done during that time was just as bad. You know what I mean? Let's not call a spade a spade. This was letter bombs. You sit down in your house, you get a mail, like you have, Allah day, you know what I mean? So these are the kind of things these people were capable of. What I'm getting at here is we should not be fooled yet again. It's very simple. I made it clear in my statement. When I saw the speech itself, I just looked at somebody who was trying to redeem himself. The first thing you do when you want to redeem yourself is, first of all, apologize. I was wrong. Apologize. This is why I think that Nigeria is always so backwards, because the same old story over and over again, and we look for different results. Why do we seem that why is it like, it's like we're cursed. It's like we go back to the same old people looking for answers. And he made a comment about, I think he was making a comment about the former Lagos State Governor, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If not for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we will not even have an opposition party, for God's sake. You know what I mean? That man fought through Najeko. He fought for the restitution of democracy in the country, and we're so lucky that we even have an alternative. The alternative might not be perfect, but it's better than what we had before. So for me, I would go. I would not even try to.
But the same could be said about Bola Ahmed Tinubu, of course. When you say he fought, and all the things that you think he did, the strides and the gains, obviously was taxpayers' money. So,
no, I'm not saying it's not with taxpayers' money. What I'm suggesting here is that when you start to say one is better than the other, there's no reason to do that because everything is in its own context. So for me, I believe that when Asiwaju was governor at the time, if you had noticed, I think in the second term, they had stopped giving them local government funds. There were so many things done to try to belittle the man and try to suppress his progress in the nation. So God knows, you see, the fight for our democracy is still ongoing. Like I said, Asiwaju has done his part, and it's now left to everybody else to continue as we go. Like for me, he said that maybe I'm not. I don't know. I'm not. What am I doing?
Well, quickly, because we're running out of time. Because I want to go back to Mr. Afegwa to wrap this up. He did, ask you a simple question as to what solutions are you bringing to the table? What kind of leader are you proposing for Nigeria? Just as his principal has also made his case, what is your case?
Okay, first of all, when it comes to picking a leader for Nigeria, I don't have any right to tell Nigerians what to do. What I am doing on behalf of the nation is by informing people. So I have like a radio program that I do, trying to encourage people to not sell their votes, to understand the issues that we are facing today. That's one. Two, what I'm also telling you that even today, in the democracy we have today, we have people that I can identify with as true Democrats. Okay, first of all, I worked with Aregbe Shola in Osun State. That's when we came up with the old mills, the Opoimo program. We did the Ogao. He did the he employed youth. We're doing things that we could, but if you understand that we were surprised by the funding we had in the States, but he did his best. Even to today, as the Minister for Interior, he's working, trying to revolutionize the passport process and even just the ministry itself by getting better fire equipment for the fire department, helping with the immigration process to make it easier for people to get passports.
This sounds to me like this sounds to me like a campaign of sorts for Ralph Aregbesola. And there are many people who would also disagree with you that he didn't do great in office. So unfortunately, I don't think I want you to do this, to carry out this campaign on my show.
One more thing to say. One more thing, and then you can go to Mr. February, because I think he's the showcase of this event. You see, I've also gone around the country. I've met people. I've listened to their needs. The same thing my father was complaining about is what is happening today. I want to mention one more person that I believe is also done something in his own private, in his own space, and he has done. And I'm pleased with what he was able to do. In Kogi State, for example, he's a youth. He made sure that all his cabinet members were also youth. So it's a youth revolution. If you go to that state today, you'll find that state is bordered by 10 other states. We're not hearing about kidnapping. We're not hearing about anything. What I'm suggesting to you is that the future and the way forward for Nigeria is when we forget these old babas and we start to handle these things ourselves. The way I will solve a problem is different from the way my father will have solved the problem. Okay. My father's time is past. It is time for the youth to take over control of the nation. Period.
All right. Mr. Fegba, I just asked the questions. Really, is it about the age of a person, or is it about the experience or the ideas that you need to run a country and run it right?
I think my brother Abdulmumini is behaving like Mr. President, who is, detained by the past. When you challenge, you are not creating a plan to put history in its proper perspective. So as far as this issue came on board, well, I didn't hear Abdulmumini's voice in this country. Not to take the ones who are running the country.
Mr. Fegba, we have to go quickly. You are his spokesperson.